Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna be doing a story time. I wanna, give you guys some insights, some pro tips on how to handle life in hard situations. So I'm really excited to just kind of hang out and chill with you guys. So in the meantime, you already know what to do. We got our action items for the video. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. If you really mess with us over here, hit that notification bell. And what else? Oh, and like the video if you liked it. All right, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so today I want to share with you guys a time that I do not look so fondly upon. I literally look back at this time even today. Like at the time, I still remember the feelings that I had. They were definitely negative feelings, but looking back now, I see the bigger picture. You know how you feel like you're going through these struggles and you're like, why? Like, what is the point of this? Now I look back at that and I see that, but at the time, honey, it was not cute. It was not kind, none of those things. So I'm gonna be telling you guys about how I pretty much fired is a strong word. I don't know. You guys let me know what I should label it. So my sophomore year, okay, so we had 5 years of school for my undergrad and college. I guess I would call it my second out of 5 or third out of 5. 5th year, I actually worked at a company, and I remember I interviewed for this company like a year in advance because at the time they weren't taking people of my grade level, but they wanted me to be on their workforce, and their HR was so nice. I really messed with their HR, although their HR was nothing like their actual culture of their company, but that's beside the point. That's another point. So they hired me a year in advance. Well, said you have a job in a year, girl. So once that year rolled along, I was very excited because the company is a really big company and they was paying that shmoney, that paper, honey. Oh, we're talking $30+ an hour as a sophomore in college. Yeah, so I was really excited. I had to move to a really small country town in Ohio, but after living in Texas and seeing those small country towns, no shade to y'all, but my bad, y'all. It's literally over here trying to do a whole ass thing. Look at the devil at work, y'all. There have been so many distractions in just this 5 minutes of me sitting down. If y'all knew all the things that have been happening behind the scenes right now, it's wild. Okay, so I was all set to go to my internship. I had to move to this small town, got it. I had a place to live. I was making a lot of money at a low cost of living. So the situation from the beginning, we were assigned mentors, and me and my mentor were probably two of the complete opposite people, which is fine. I feel like I get along with a lot of different type of people because I genuinely am passionate about getting to know people, and understanding people is something that I really love doing. And as people, I felt like we weren't bad or anything, but I will say he was yeah, we were just completely different types of people, and it came to turn out that even in our work styles. So my mentor was more of someone who was even though this is your first week, even though you're just a sophomore and you've never worked in this industry, I'm just still gonna throw you in there and hopefully you can sink or swim, which I did swim. But I also did have the expectation that as a mentor, as this program of you being my mentor, I would expect you to mentor me. This is supposed to be a learning experience for really both of us, at least for me. And I expected to get that mentorship, and I expected to get the same treatment that the other 60, 70 co-ops were getting, and I wasn't. Which, you do have different mentors, they give them general guidelines, but everybody's different. So you have mentors who were hey, to their mentees, come over for dinner, me and my wife are cooking. And then you have some mine where it's he acts like he can barely even stand my guts. I definitely felt from the beginning I was seeing some of my peers or even talking to some of the team members on my team who weren't my mentor, mentor, and they would tell me like, yeah, generally we would sit you down, we would teach you all the products, we would teach you all of this stuff before giving you a project. I had none of that. I literally got into the situation or the internship and I started getting, I wouldn't even say I started getting assignments. It was like he would like bring things up to me, like if we would go out to the field and somebody would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna need you to do a, I don't even know what it's called because I didn't know what it was, a like risk assessment, I don't know, some document of some sort, some long process. And he would be like, oh yeah, she's gonna have a lot of fun doing that, like kind of alluding toward like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have her do it. And then like 2 weeks later be like, so is that document done? And it's like, whoa. Like, I understand fully the concept of like initiative, and I did take initiative. I was doing the work that he did assign to me, and I was doing it to the best of my ability with the limited information that I did have. But as far as like just in like casual conversation being like, hey, yeah, she's gonna have fun doing that assignment, and then never bringing it up again, and then being like, well, why isn't it done, is just like weird to me. I would have instances where I would come into work early because this was a place where they were perfectly comfortable with like paying you overtime. They were like, we expect you to be here from 9 to 5 at the least, and it kind of expect overtime. They're like, we will pay you for overtime. So I would get there early. Wait, not even 9, I think it was 8 to 5. No, not 9, girl. I was not sleeping in like that. So I would get in early, like 7:30. I would leave at like 5:36, just like trying to get this work done, trying to always know what my mentor expected of me without ever really getting direction of what my mentor expected of me. And honestly, it was the hands down, as far as, let me think, was it overall? Emotionally and mentally, one of the most draining, if not most draining times of my life of 20 years. You know, it ain't been that long, 25 years. Let me think. It was so emotionally draining. Like, I'm someone who takes school and work very seriously, and that's something that even through this experience I realized that like you should never really value yourself according to your work. Like, I mean, you should have values in your life where it's like, am I a good person to my family or the people I care about? Do people rely on me? You know, like, it shouldn't be like, did I make this quota for work? Because honestly, when you're at work, it's like there's so many variables and there's so many things that are out of your control that if you really do, like, you could be doing, this is what I felt like, you could be doing an amazing job above and beyond and still not get the recognition you deserve. That was such a stressful time for me because I was away from my family and friends. Like, I had friends and family in Akron, but I was in Findlay, Ohio, 2 hours away. I would go back like every other weekend because my boyfriend was there. It was such a stressful time because from 7:30 a.m. Monday to like 6 p.m. Friday, I was stressed. Like, just being in this person's presence was like the most anxiety-filled experience for me, just being in his presence, because it was literally like anything I did was never good enough. If I did something right and other people were praising me for it, he would never acknowledge it. If I did one thing wrong, it's like if I asked a question, he would be like so annoyed to the point where I would go to other mentors in my group or other people in my group and they'd be like, well, why don't you ask your mentor about this? That's not a good idea. And to like make me feel, I guess, more sane was like one of my teammates, I guess, one of the people who was my mentor's actual coworker, he was helping me out one day. I was helping him on a project, and he's like, so did your mentor ever sit you down and talk about this? No. Not even a document was sent my way. No, not at all. And he's like, wow, did he do this? He's going through all this stuff, like, this is what I usually do with my co-op. Did he do this? I'm like, he literally did nothing. I have this project, that's why I'm coming to you. I'm coming to all these different resources, which did help me become resourcely. You know, if you need to get it done, so you have to kind of figure out how to do it. And, you know, I was talking to him just like, no, I've really tried to do this. I'm trying to make him happy, because at this point, he pretty much was the main point for how I was going to progress into the next, like, be asked back as a co-op. So essentially, throughout the entire co-op, I was literally coming in early, leaving late, and then there would be other co-ops, like other engineering co-ops, getting paid the exact same, saying like, man, I come to work every day, I'm so bored, I just like transfer one file from one folder to the next, and whenever I get a review, my mentors give me flying colors, like highest rankings. I'm over here busting my butt. At one point, my mentor had left for paternity leave, so I was like in control of all of our major projects, like the main contact, like going out to the field doing things, and he literally gave me like, I think out of 5, no, it was like 3. It was like a 1, which is like horrible, a 2, which is good, and a 3, which is great. I think that was a scale. It was either 3 or 5. Literally gave me a 1. He gave me the lowest scoring at my midterm, and I was like, what? I've done so much. And he's like, but you know, we've already talked about it, because at one point we did have a meeting. You know, we had finally gotten to this rhythm. He left for like a month, and of like a 5-month stint of me even being there, and I ran all of our projects. Everything went well. Everything that I needed to do was done. People had nothing but good things to say, at least to my face. I don't know, it was a bit of a competitive environment, but people literally were like, you did great. And they would tell my mentor that, and he would just kind of be like, you know, like. So I get to the final meeting. I'm sitting down, me, my mentor, and my new supervisor of like a week and a half. The worst part was, like, to make small talk, I guess, my supervisor, was just me and my supervisor beforehand, before my actual mentor went in. And my supervisor was just like, so what are your plans for next semester? What are your plans for blah, blah, blah? And mind you, so this is how it works. I was in spring semester. And then we have a small summer semester of like a month or 2 where we take classes, and then you have a fall semester. My plan was to co-op at the same company in another location for the next semester, because we had to co-op. That was a part of our curriculum. I mean, you didn't have to, but you'd be behind or your schedule would be different. That was my plan. I told him that. I was like, this is my plan. This is where I'm thinking of going. If it's open, this is what I put for relocation, whatever. And he's like, oh, interesting. And I was just telling him like what he was asking. So then my mentor gets in there, so 3 of us, and they start going through, and they're like, all right, so it's the end of the semester, things are good, blah, blah, blah. We did have a rocky start, but we definitely, like, I'm proud of where you come. You've really grown a lot as a worker. Like, I'm really happy with where you are now. I wish we could have started at this point going forward, just out the gate, which I'm like, sure. I have a few things I could say to you too, but I'm being super respectful. I'm like, yes, it's been a great experience. I'm so excited. So we start going through the packet, and you have like different areas. It's like, how are you with leadership? How are you with on task thing or on time? And so he's going through, and he's like, this thing you did good at. You really completed those projects. That's a really good example of this. I wish that at the beginning it could have been more on time, or, you know, going through each one. I'm like, okay. It's like, it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like the overall picture was like, you're doing good, but here are some criticisms, because obviously we're not going to give you just like a perfect score, even though Sally got a perfect score on hers. He gets to the end of the packet where they give you your full score, and I'm expecting, like, he literally gave me the lowest score last time, right, for my midterm, even though I didn't even think I deserved that. I was expecting the highest score. Like, from the feedback I was getting, from the project, like, the outcomes that I had delivered, I was expecting a full highest score. He gave me the exact same score he gave me the first time. It wasn't like I said, it was like a 1, 2, 3. I think I said it back. I don't remember, guys. I don't remember the actual scoring, but I don't remember what I said earlier either. I don't know. Let's just say like a 1 is the best and a 3 is the worst. 1 is best, 3 is worst. That's just what I'm going for now. If 3 is the worst, he gave me a 3 at my midterm, and by the time I had finished, he had gone for paternity leave. I'd worked with a whole other mentor, made all, like, delivered presentations, ran meetings, all of this stuff, far more than what a lot of my other co-ops were doing, who got perfectly asked to come back. They gave me the same score of a 3, the lowest score. And I said to him, I respectfully disagree with this. There's no way that I received the exact same score. You just had nothing but good things. Well, not nothing but good things, but you just had all these good things. You just said I ran this whole project essentially on my own and you're giving me the same score? Like literally in my mind, I'm like, is he allowed to do this? And his response was, well, the beginning was just so rocky. Like what? Like what? Okay, like, but so I progressed. So we both are clear that I progressed this far by the end of the term. These are the things I've done for you in your projects while you were gone, while you were here, helped you out, and that I've accomplished. And yet you keep like, and the weirdest thing for me was like, at the very least, according, like they have like 1, meets, if it's the best, exceeded expectations, blah, blah, blah. 2, met expectations, not really went above. 3, below expectations. And I read to him, I was like, even if I was just 1 step above out of 2, I read to him like, it says meets expectations, this and that. This is exactly what you just said. I don't understand how you literally can read these guidelines and say that I received the lowest score and that I did not improve at all, is what you're saying, is that I have not improved at all over this semester, which is completely different than what you're saying right now. And he just maintained like, I just, it was, you know, and I understand, this is not a reflection of who you are. And I was just like, at that point, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I cried. And I'm not a crier. My best friends can tell you, like, they've probably seen me cry when we were younger, like, once. Like, I'm not a crier, but in that moment, I felt so cheated. I felt so helpless because even though I had spoken up for myself and said like, this honestly is just not true. It's literally just not true. They were like, my one supervisor was just sitting there like, you know, like he had nothing to say because he did not know. And the mentor was just like delusioned, and I was just so hurt, so helpless, and so infuriated that I just started crying. So at this point, I'm just trying to get gather myself together, and you know, at one point they're just sitting there like looking down. It was my last day, and where I sat, like I had to go back to my desk to like gather things, and I didn't want people to see that I was crying. Like it was so horrible. Essentially they were like, well, with this scoring, we're not going to be asking you back. So mind you, as I'm telling this guy beforehand all of my plans, I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping I can get this location for next semester. I'm so excited to be working at this place, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he's like, not the way I see it, you know, like, oh my God. So this is where we start to get into the blessing, the point of this story. So yeah, that was really traumatic, I would say. Like, that's something that has taught me so many things about work and about just life. One thing that I learned about life is if you're meant to be somewhere, if you're meant to do something, if your life is meant to be in a certain way, if God's trying to get you to go somewhere and you're resisting, he's gonna get you to go there eventually. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna move you eventually. Now it can be a easy transition, like you choosing like, no, I'm not gonna work there, or it can be something like you getting fired. And I kind of felt like that was a situation because clearly, like to be honest with you, the way that they were paying us, the way my paychecks were set up, I saved up so much money in that time. Like and it was only gonna keep getting higher. And then once you got, you know, a full-time position, it was going to be even higher. So I knew that at that point I would have definitely stayed, and that work environment was horrible for me. I hated it. I dreaded going to work every day. I was so miserable, but the paychecks were on point. And that's when I learned this amazing lesson of like, is the money actually worth the misery? And I think God was placing me out of that situation, knowing like I would have stayed and probably never followed what I think is one of my passions. So essentially what I took out of it was, of course at the time I was so stressed. Of course I called my boyfriend, my mom, my brother, crying and just so upset because not only was I out of a job, not only was I so disrespected, not only was I so unappreciated, but now I needed to find another job in like 2 months. Up until that point, when I just always kind of, I guess, trusted in God and knew that things had always worked out in the past, why would this be any different? And having that mindset, I then moved into the point of like, okay, I actually ended up looking for jobs on my own. I remember applying for a job that was in Dallas, Texas. And so I ended up applying and getting the job on my own, going on Google, going on Indeed.com, applying for this job. They called me, I got an interview, and I got a job in Dallas, Texas. And I literally moved to Dallas, Texas for 6 months. One of the best experiences I've had in my life. I learned so much about working. I got this amazing work experience. I met people that I still talk to this day, that are really great friends. And of course, while I was in Dallas, it's so funny because I can go back, which at that point, I think it was like 2 years ago, but I can go back and see a Snapchat I posted where I asked like people like, if I started vlogging or blogging, would anybody watch? And like now, 2 years or, you know, however long later, it actually manifested. You know, it's like at that point, it was just this seed that was planted in my mind of like, maybe I will vlog. And then I also did a lot of like journaling. That's when I started journaling. So the moral of the story is, it was either a sermon or a quote or both that I saw or read that said, when you ask God, why are you taking me through these troubled waters? Why are you taking me through the deep end? Why are you putting me through this? And God's response is, because your enemies can't swim, you know? And like, you come out stronger in the end. You come out like, girl, don't get me started, but you come out stronger in the end. So that's the moral of the story for me, is even when you're having times where you feel like it's so negative, you can't understand why this is happening, like no matter what you're doing, you're working so hard, nothing is making sense, why are you struggling so much, what are you doing wrong, you know, moments like that, things have been okay thus far. You're alive, you're healthy, you are thriving, you know, like you've been okay thus far and you're gonna continue to be okay. And that's something that I learned from this experience. So yeah, that's my story of how I pretty much got fired slash not asked back slash like whatever. Alright guys, so I hope that you actually got something from this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you've made it to this point, thank you for watching. Comment down below if you've had any experiences similar to this. Alright guys, well I'll see you in the next video. Bye!